Ngamihiwa in the news for Tuesday, the 27th of August. It's a three-horse race for the Labour leadership. The deadline for official entry passed this morning, and Grant Robertson, Shane Jones and David Cunliffe have all put up their hands to replace David Shearer. Each MP has 3 weeks to convince 50,000 party members, union affiliates and their own colleagues that he is the man for the job. The Prime Minister is making his disdain for the leadership race clear. Mr. John Key is calling it political idol and suggests that it's the unions that will ultimately decide Labour's next leader. The winner will be announced on September the 15th. Judge Neil McLean says the overall suicide rate is stubbornly consistent. The Chief Coroner's annual provisional figures show there were 541 suicides, similar to what it has been for the past 6 years. There are positive changes, though, with the first ever drop in Maori suicide rates, and there were 22 fewer preteen and teen suicides than the previous year. There were also fewer suicides in Christchurch this year, and Judge McLean suggests that could be because lonely people who had felt there was nothing worth living for have found a purpose in helping their community recover from the devastating Canterbury earthquakes. And in related news, a report from the Health Quality and Safety Commission reveals a worrying trend in youth fatalities. Between 2002 and 2008, 202 young Kiwis died of poisoning, and around 35% of those cases were classed as unintentional. This includes young people who inhaled toxic gases and accidentally overdosed on prescription medicines and alcohol. The New Zealand Drug Foundation suggests a single government agency needs to be tasked with addressing the problem. Peter Dunn believes that allowing flexibility in the superannuation scheme will likely result in raising the retirement age. The United Future leader is proposing to allow people to take smaller super payments at age 60 or wait until they're 70 and receive it at a higher rate. He says more people would choose to defer the payment. There are concerns, however, that the proposed changes will unnecessarily complicate the system and make it more expensive to administer. To international news, UN inspectors in Syria have come under sniper fire in Damascus, but they're calling their day very productive. The team has managed to take blood samples from the victims of last week's alleged chemical weapons attack by the Syrian military. Our Prime Minister believes that world leaders may be compelled to act alone if the Syrian crisis worsens. With Russia opposed to any military intervention by the UN Security Council, John Key believes the US may impose a no-fly zone over Syria. Britain has also indicated that it will not wait for a UN mandate. An Iranian appeals court in Tehran has rejected an application to reduce American pastor Saeed Abedini's jail term. Pastor Saeed was imprisoned last September and sentenced this January to 8 years in prison for posing a threat to national security by gathering with other Christians in Iran. He was imprisoned in Evin prison last September, where he continues to face abuse and death threats unless he renounces his faith. His wife, Saeed Abedini, asks for ongoing prayer support and says she will seek out all legal and diplomatic options to free Pastor Saeed. And finally, a Greenpeace icebreaker protesting oil exploration in the Arctic says Russian authorities have threatened to open fire if it doesn't leave the area. The Dutch-flagged Arctic Sunrise entered the Northern Sea route without permission on Saturday. The vessel says it will leave to avoid any risk to its crew. Greenpeace claims that Russian state oil giant Rosneft and US company ExxonMobil have plans to drill in the Russian Arctic National Park, a nature reserve that is home to whales and polar bears. Well, those are the headlines from the Rima newsroom. Ka kite anō.